Good day. Nick from Vulcan Gun Refinishing here with another interesting project in the shop. Today we got ourselves a Portuguese contract German Mauser. From what the customer tells me, Mauser was busy trying to sell weapons to foreign countries' armies, get contracts to supply their armies with the Mauser weapon. But they got so busy fighting in Russia that this is a gun that apparently was originally built for the Portuguese army, but the Nazis didn't ship it. They end up using it for their own needs. So it's got it's kind of interesting because it's got both Portuguese markings on it and Nazi markings on it, Waffen-Amps. So it's really quite interesting in that respect. I don't know a lot about Mausers, I'm the first to admit that, but I'm learning as I go. And we've got a really, really nice example here that's basically untouched. You can see by the crispness of all the edges of everything, and you can see by the bluing. We'll get into more detail in a little bit, but you get to see just how untouched this one is. So that it's nice. I get so many in that have been worked and reworked and worked again, and it's tough to make them look new sometimes, but this one is just exceptional. It's got some really, really nice interesting Waffen-Amps on the wood there, as you can see. That's really quite stunning. So I'm going to be busy trying to preserve that. I'll be boiling this stock, so we don't want that cartouche to diminish, but we want all these dings around it to pop out. So that'll be interesting. So I have to remove all the metal from the wood. We've got more markings there. It looks like they're kind of upside down here, but anyway, we'll look at all that in a little bit closer detail. But I just wanted to have a preliminary look at it. It just came in. So one thing I noticed about it right off the bat is how matching this thing is. I mean, everything is matched, everything is numbered, it all looks good. So I'm real happy with that aspect of it. It's nice to get matching numbers all the time. Let me turn this gun around and we can look at a couple of the things in the right way here. I was looking at that stock wood, and all these symbols were upside down and everything. So here we have a little bit closer look now at looks like a 2 in there, and some kind of there's a 4 and a 2, and I can't tell what the other things are. HH maybe or something down there. Looks like HH, maybe a T up at the very top there. But once we get into it a little bit more, we'll research that a little bit better and see what we've got. But some nice, looks like bench vise jaw marks in the wood here. So somebody wasn't being very careful. I see it was the same way on the other side, same marks. So, and we've got the nice swastikas everywhere, and it's H15666, kind of interesting. And Mauser work Oberndorf. So, like I say, it's a nice one. It's in for a complete. We're going to re-blue it. We're going to redo the wood. We'll basically go over the whole thing. Get a little bit better focus here. We'll kind of look at this side a little bit in detail. So once again, more dings and dents. We've got a crest. Let's see, right here. Yeah, so it's a Portuguese crest, same as the one that is on the receiver, and it's dated 1941. So that's nice. That matches the gun perfectly. The gun itself has that same crest on it. Get it under the light here. And it's dated 1941. It's the same crest. So it's nice that it's all matching. It's the right wood for the gun and the whole 9 yards. And that's, what do we got there? That looks like 8 by, oh yeah, it's the caliber 8 by 57. So, and you can see, if you can look close enough, you can see that the metal has a bit of graining to it. I was speaking to a fellow a couple days ago, and he said that the way that the Mauser collectors refer to it is straw. The metal has strawing in it or something. I call it graining, but same difference. You can see the fine machining marks on this piece. They're running up and down. You can see them. So I can duplicate that perfectly. That's not a problem. The wood will boil and get all the dings to pop out. So everything is grained. I can see the graining on all the metal bits and pieces, or strawing as you want to call it. So that's not going to be a problem. That'll be easy to duplicate. But everything is numbered, everything matches. That's what I like. It's complete. It's got the cleaning rod. The only thing that's not here with it is the sling. So, you know, the bluing on it really isn't even all that bad, but it is, you know, it is, you can see it's faded and dented up. There's that 5666 number again. So the ding's got, I mean, the wood's got quite a few little dings and issues in it, but nothing that we can't fix. The boiling alone will make that wood look tremendously better. And a little bit of filling here and there. We'll have to get that cross bolt out of the wood there. And, you know, a few things. Those vice marks should come out of there in the boiling, I'm hoping. I saw some other cartouches right there. So that's, I got that the right way? No. There we go. So that's nice. We'll get a little bit close-up shot view of that. So we can get a little, yeah, so that looks nice. There we go. Beautiful. So this wood looks like walnut. I know some of these had laminated stalks, but this one's a walnut stalk, so that should boil up really nice. I've got a bit of a challenge back here because I've got to remove the, I've got to fill in that sling swivel hole. It shouldn't be there, but yet I have to keep the, you know, that cartouche, and I have to not damage any of this. There's the serial number again, 566. So actually, it looks like maybe 1566. Yeah, they put the one in there too. Right, good. So I'll have to fill that. I'll have to make a little, you know, walnut plug or something and get it in there. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of this pops out, because, you know, for example, we got damage right by that cartouche. So hopefully that more or less is going to pop out of there, and I won't have to sand too much into the cartouche. The butt plate is kind of beat up. It's got some markings on it, but I'm having a little difficulty making them out. They're there all right, but they're just a little bit hard to see. This is only a preliminary inspection. Yeah, so there's something there. I just can't quite make it out. But once I bead blast this, then we should be able to clean it up. Yeah, there's like a little cross symbol right there, and some numbers and stuff, but there's too much rust in the way. I can't read it. So we'll clean that butt plate up. We'll bead blast it, and that'll clean it up real good. And then we'll be able to give a little bit better determination. As I say, right now I'm just giving it the old once-over just to kind of have a real rough idea of what we've got in and what's ahead of us. My experience with Mausers is limited, but it's really no different than what I've been working on. It reminds me a lot of that P14 that I did, that Matthew P14, because it's got similar wood, cartouche issues. It's got the same fine graining or strawing in the metal. So you can definitely see the like I say, the strawing or graining in that metal. So that's interesting. I like doing them. Once again, there's everything, got all the proper numbers on it. Everything is matching. Just looks sweet. This is a real nice unit. So I'm eager to do this one. A lot of Mausers out there, so it'd be nice to get known with the Mauser community. You know, I do Garands like crazy and 1911s, and doing an awful lot of 03 Springfields all of a sudden. But Mausers are nice. They're a well-made gun. I enjoy working on them. You know, a little bit that I have experience with them. It's not a lot, but from what I've seen, they're nice guns to work on. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing torn down. This one's all the way from British Columbia. Tony in British Columbia. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate the business. It's renewed business. I've done a few other jobs for this customer already, so I guess I've got him fooled, eh? So we'll go ahead and get going on this. We're going to get it torn down and degreased, and I'll get back and we'll have a little bit more detailed look at what all the pieces look like once they've been cleaned, and then we'll figure out a course of action. So we've got this 41 Mauser all torn down now, and no big surprises. Everything looks to be in pretty good shape, pretty much what we thought it was. A few spots where a little bit of pitting is starting, a little bit of rust and pitting is starting. So it's a good thing that it came in now, because no matter how much you clean the outside and wipe the outside and polish it and rub it with oil, the rust is just eating its way down into the metal. So once you see discoloration, like I keep telling you, that's a bad sign. We know that things are starting to change. They're starting to deteriorate. So a smart person would address that, right away. So I'm just trying to get a good shot of this piece here. There are a few little dings and dents and gouges and marks, but nothing really severe. A little trouble focusing here. There, that's a little better. So, and everything's grained. There we go. So you can see the graining in that piece. So we'll talk to the customer. When I bead blast that, you're going to have some pitting in those areas. No argument there. So we'll talk to the customer, see if he wants the graining put back in. You can see there's some pitting going on. But not too bad. This was a good time to catch it. If you would have let this gun go another few years, it would have been far worse. But that's easily cleaned up. So we'll see what the customer wants to do, how far he wants to go. Most everything on the gun is in quite nice shape. Most of the metal has slight issues like that. Once again, you can see the graining in there. So we can clean that up nicely and duplicate all that just right on the money. No horrible pitting, but a few little marks. There might be some minor pitting once it's bead blasted. Once again, it's marked. Everything on this gun is matching as far as numbers. So I'm real happy with that. There was a little bit of pitting on the receiver, but it hasn't. Let me get a pointer here. It hasn't gotten very bad yet. But if something's not done with it, like right there is a really good example. Let's see if I can get a really good shot of that. Because right there is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where that's a reasonably good rust pit starting right there. My pointer falls into it. My pointer's in it. It stops my pointer. So that's pretty deep. We gotta do something with that. And then on the other side, we have a little bit more pitting right in there. Get a good focus right in here. This is significant pitting here. Once again, it stops the pointer. So that's something to, you can see that there. That's quite prominent in a couple of spots. So, not horrible. We've certainly fixed a lot worse, but it's got to be addressed. Thank God there's no pitting or whatever it looks like in that emblem there, that Portuguese symbol or whatever it is, because that'd be very difficult to try and get in and clean that up without defacing that emblem. Everything else looks good. I didn't see any major rust or pitting or problems, on the bolt. Everything seems to be good. We did a function test and everything works smooth. We got a little bit of pitting on the handle right there. You can see on the knob. That's going to have to be filed or ground or cleaned up. I'm hoping we don't have to add any weld to that. That's a fairly significant pit right there. But other than that, it's just light pitting. Light pitting here and there on a few of the pieces. So we'll have to address that, but once again, can all be corrected. Everything is matching. Once again, we talked about that, so it's good. Nice to get one that's like this. So we got that piece. What else we got? We got all our. This was pretty rusty and crusty inside. We had a bit of trouble to get all the springs and everything inside disassembled. There was quite a bit of rust packed inside of this piece. So, and once again, it's grained. Everything's grained on this gun, so we'll clean that up. Of course, it's numbered as well. It's got the there's 6.6 there on the left-hand side. You can see that. So, butt plate. Once again, we got to bead blast it before we get a real good. It's like a BRG, and then a little. Looks like a. Looks like the eagle maybe down there. Looks like BRG, and then the eagle down there, and a few other marks on it, like a cross up there. Once we bead blast that, we'll have a much better idea. Inside is clean. No big issues there. It's like a kind of a primer inside of it. Looks like bluing inside, so this must have been blued inside and out. I mean, geez, there's like no trace of bluing left on the outside, so I'll have to research that a little bit better. Once again, it appears to have some brush marks or graining in it a bit as well, so we'll have to duplicate that, no problem. Most of the screw heads are good, really good. I don't believe this gun's ever been worked on. I don't think it's ever been torn apart, so we didn't run into a lot of stripped screw heads and stuff like that. So I don't know that anything's been disassembled on this gun. So some nice, you can see the nice brush marks in that piece. Get a good focus here. But a nice rich blue-black. So we can duplicate that 100%. This isn't much different than that P14. There's the trigger housing. You can see all the nice machining. We'll get a good focus of that. You can see all the nice machining marks in there. You can see all that. So, and that trigger guard itself, that's got a nice brushed finish. You know, lots of little dings and dents, as you can see. We can clean all that up, but it's a nice piece. Once again, good time to get to it. 15666. Good time to get to it. It's just starting to pit and rust. You can see a little bit of pitting up there on that edge there. So good time to restore it. If we would have left this another couple of years, this thing would have been far worse. So everything's looking good. I'm quite happy. There's no big bad surprises. You know, that piece is a little rusty being in the wood, but we'll clean that up. Bead blast that, clean it up, find out what kind of a finish that had. Like I say, my knowledge on Mausers is a little bit limited, so some research will be needed. Pulled the upper handguard off, and it's got the matching number to the gun as well. So this thing is just beautifully matching, just gorgeous. Even the main stock right in there, 15666. So it's good. This is the stock that's always been with this gun. Like I say, this gun appears to be very, very original, untouched. When we took the sight apart, we found the number for the gun stamped. Where did we find that? Oh yeah, right there. Right out that near that lower edge. It's 5666. See that right there, 5666. So everything is matching. This piece here, there was a numbers on that. Yeah. On there you can see 5666. Even this piece, it's got 66 on it. So we're real happy. That's nice. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to the customer, see just how far he wants to go. If he wants me to duplicate the graining, or if we just want to bead blast this and do a black oxide finish on it. I'm hoping he wants to go the full route on it, but that's up to him. It's his budget. So I try not to interfere with what customers want to do. I'll advise a customer, but that's as far as I can go. So let me talk to the customer, see how far we want to go on this thing, and we'll get back to you. So we boiled the wood for this 41 Mauser for the first time, and as usual, I'm just so happy. I'm so glad that I discovered that boiling secret, because what a difference it made in this stock. Wow. It just saved us so much work and so much filler and just everything. I mean, just you can remember that stock before we started, just how dented and dinged up and marked up it was, and it's come out so beautiful. I can't believe it. And the cartouches, wait till I show you the cartouches. And this is only the first boil. This is going to get a lot cleaner looking, and there'll probably be even more stuff pop out of it on the second boil. But you can see already how much stuff came out of it. Now, as I've said earlier in my other videos, that when you got an area like this one, where the fibers are actually broken, then no, that's not gonna come out of there. But I bet you it did get a lot better. I don't remember what it looked like before we boiled it, but you can always review the video. But you know, especially something like this, it had never been sanded. I mean, you could just see how sharp these edges are. This stock's never been touched with a piece of sandpaper. And I just want to show you them cartouches, because just nothing was damaged at all. I mean, even that scratch looks better. I mean, it's still there, but even that looks better. But But check out the cartouche. Look at that. Look at how beautiful and crisp that cartouche is. And if you remember, that had all kinds of dings around it. And I was worried how we were going to get... If you remember this area, it was just hammered with dings and scrapes and gouges, and I didn't know what we were going to do there. And just look at how much nicer that looks already. And in here, we had a bunch of symbols and numbers. Once again, nothing is defaced. It's just as crisp and clean as before it was boiled. Let's just check the bottom. There's more cartouches there. I want to see how they survived. So we got that one there. That's still looking very nice. And once again, that was just dings and everything all the way around it. The serial number, everything came out nice. We got to put a little plug in there. Somebody had made a hole for a sling swivel. But and I don't think, well, we got maybe one little crack in it. I'll show you in a second. But once again, there's that another beautiful cartouche that just survived. Absolutely stunning. Let's see if I can get a good shot of that or not. It's just beautiful. So I'm real happy with that. Look at that. Beautiful. Look at that. Jeez. So that boiling just doesn't diminish cartouches really at all. And we move along, and once again that channel's all nice and clean. And I noticed one little crack right there. Now I don't know if that's really, it's just like a flake of wood that's lifting up. So we'll glue that back down when we, after we, you can see it goes right back down in place. So after we boil it the second time, we will glue that piece back in place. So, but I just wanted you to see that gorgeous wood. So that boiling is really, I got to fill that in too. That boiling is just a wonderful thing. I'm just going to turn this around. We'll have a look at it on the other side too. I don't remember, oh yeah, that's right, it's had all the Portuguese crest and markings, and once again that just came out. See if I can get a good view of that. You can see that. So that crest is still there. You can see 1941. So a couple of stains here. I don't know where they came from. Seem to come right out of the wood, but hopefully we can sand them out of there or get them out of there. I just don't remember them even being in there before we boiled it. So yeah, and everything else just came out nice. So like I say, so much stuff pops out. It's incredible. It saves us so much work. I mean, who wants to put filler in the wood? I hate using filler. I'd rather we didn't put any filler in, but unfortunately we got no choice. So, but everything else is looking good. Just came out gorgeous. And like I say, that's only boil number 1. We got at least one more boil to go. So once again, that just came out beautiful. The grain and everything. A good shot of that. Grain and everything, just tremendous on that piece. So I'm real happy with that. I've got that serial number on the underside there. So nothing gets lost in the boiling. Getting a little uncooperation. Here we go. 15666. So, and then once again, that wood is so clean on the inside, it's not even funny. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to boil this again probably tomorrow. It's been sitting now for a couple of days, so it's had a chance to dry out, and see, you can't really see any cracking going on in there, which is good. Yeah, it looks like there might be a crack right there. I see a crack down in there, but that's all right. We can throw a little glue in there. I don't mind if you get the odd crack. If the overall job is so much better because of the boiling, I'll live with a crack. We can fix a crack. This gun's not going back into combat. We're not fighting the battle of the bulge anymore. So if I glue a crack, it's going to be fine. It'll hold. So, and remember, the top of that was just beaten. It was dings and dents all over that. And now look at how much better it is. It's not perfect, but it's way better. So we're going to go ahead and give that another boil and see what she looks like. I'll let it dry for a couple days, and I'll get back to you, and we'll see just how nice it looks. But this one's coming along even better than I hoped it would. So we're going to be able to make a real beautiful piece of wood out of this one. So, and all the other parts of that Mauser are just moving right along. We're doing all the metal finishing and everything, and so getting it ready for the bluing. But anyway, this stage is coming along really good. So thanks for watching. So we got this wood for the 41 Mauser boiled now for the second time. And this did it. This is the last boil we'll give it. It accomplished everything we were hoping to accomplish. We boil it now as much as we want to push it. We don't want to crack it. But you can just see how much nicer this is. Dings have almost completely boiled out. There's just very few left that we have to fill. You know, a few where the fibers are broken, but not bad. I mean, 90% boil out of there. And we've got a lot less work ahead of us now. So handguard, everything, nothing cracked, so that's good. Just beautiful. But the nicest thing I like is that the cartouches, all the cartouches have remained beautiful. We haven't compromised anything. You can see one right there, nice and crisp. You can still read the numbers on it and everything. There was a few little bits of damage still in the wood, but not bad considering what it was before we started. And there's that hole we have to make a plug for. But you can see how crisp and sharp the serial number is. Nothing got compromised by the boiling. There's another cartouche right up there. You can see how beautiful that is. There's just no other way you're going to get all them dings out of there. You know, I mean, you could sand it, but you'd be damaging some of the cartouches, guaranteed. There's a chip right there that we're going to glue back down. So, but look at that grain is nice and open now and everything. We'll give that a nice stain. A few little spots. There's another thing we got to put a plug in. Someone put a sling swivel there. And a little bit of damage, a few little gouges, but nothing major. Quite happy with that. The other side's just as nice. Got nice cartouches right there. See how nice that came out. See that eagle just as clear as a bell. So nothing got damaged there at all. And you remember how many dings were around that. So now it's a lot better. Got a little scratch there we got to deal with, but even that looks a lot better. And all the edges, everything looks good. All the cartouches in there are still nice and crisp, clear. You can read them all, plain as day. So that's it for the boiling. We'll go ahead and we'll block this out, and we'll get the whatever dings we can sand out. We'll get them sanded out, as long as we don't have to go too far in the wood. And then we'll go ahead and stain everything. So I'm real happy with all this. So we'll go ahead and we'll get that blocked out. We'll get that stained, and we'll get back to you and see what she looks like in a little bit. So the wood on this 41 Mauser is coming along really good. We've started blocking it. As you recall, we boiled it twice and pretty much got whatever was going to pop out. We got it to pop out. So now we're starting the process of blocking the wood with a hard rubber block to make it nice and straight, and to hopefully be able to sand out whatever didn't pop out. Now, I mean, it's incredible how much did pop out, but that's usual for this boiling. Wherever we had a cartouche, we put some tape on there so we would not, wouldn't hit that while we were working with our sandpaper. So now we'll go back in. Now that we've got the rest of it, cleaned up and basically the way we want it, now we'll go back in and we'll just very delicately work in those areas to try and clean that up just a little bit. But we're trying to stay away from those cartouches as much as possible. And we made sure that the butt plate still fits good and everything. We haven't taken too much wood off. And we had that great big deep gouge. So that's 100% gone now. No evidence of it anywhere. Yeah, it was on this side, yeah. And it's gone. Sanded right out. But everything else looks good. All the, like I said, all the cartouches we've stayed away from. You can see they're still beautiful. Just as crisp as could be. We made a wooden plug, a walnut plug for that hole there. It looks a little rough right now, but it'll be fine once we sand it. We left it a little bit. little bit sticking out actually. So, and like I say, anything with any numbers or cartouches or symbols, we taped it, we masked it, so we wouldn't be hitting it. So we still got to get into these few select areas and highlight those cartouches. But for right now, we've just, you know, preserved them, stayed away from them. So you just see the beautiful wood in this. I knew this was going to be a gorgeous stock, but it looks even nicer now that that's been blocked. Same thing there. That's just a plug we've stuck in there. It's got to be sanded smooth. It'll look a lot better in a little while. But everything is standing out really nice. The gun's just got gorgeous grain. So I'm real happy. That's going to look stunning when it gets a little bit of stain on there. But just see how much of that stuff boiled out of there, man. This wood's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And we're making sure we keep all our edges nice and sharp. You can see all the little detail in the receiver, or the wood by the receiver right there, how we've made sure that we've kept all the edges nice and sharp. We're very, very particular. We use blocks everywhere so that we don't knock any sharp lines off. So all the detail and sharpness of everything is just preserved 100%. So I just wanted you to have a quick look at that. Like I said, that grain is just absolutely beautiful. Wow, that's going to be one nice looking piece of wood. Get some stain and tongue well on that one. Wow, that's beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. But that's that boiling again. So just a quick look. The handguard, same thing. We blocked it, so it looks really good. It's nice and straight. We got any little marks it had, we got those out of there. So it looks really good. So we'll get back at you a little bit once I get a little more detailing done around those cartouches and we're ready to stain it. I'll let you have a look at it then. So we've got our stock set for our 1941 Mauser, all sanded, repaired. We've fixed everything we can fix on it, and we're at the point now where we're going to put the first coat of stain on. I just wanted you to see this once it was all repaired. We boiled it, as you know, and then we started blocking, and we were able to block out all of the, well, not all of the little marks and dings, but 90% of them boiled out, and then we were able to block out, well, yeah, basically every other ding that was there. There was almost nothing left to repair. There's a couple little places where black oil or something has stained the wood a little bit, and we just can't remove any more wood without compromising the, you know, the look or the integrity of the stock. You can see a few places right there. Now once all the bands are installed, there's not going to be much, and then once, you know, and we're going to still stain it a little bit, so that shouldn't be all that bad, you know. I mean, wood is wood. There's just, you know, so much you can do with it, you know. But we're pretty good with it, but there's just so much. But that just looks beautiful. I mean, we really were careful to maintain all the lines, all the edges. You can see how sharp the edge is on that cutout there. I love that streak of colored wood running through there. That's going to look awesome once that's stained. You can see that nice open grain on that wood from the boiling. So everything is just beautiful. The edges of everything, you can see how sharp the edge of that cutout is and how sharp the circle is there. But the most beautiful thing is the, well, I mean, you know, we like the wood. Have a nice look at that wood again, that nice beautiful open grain wood. But there's what I'm really, we were pretty nervous about these. You know, we had to do a lot of careful work around the cartouche. But just look at that. If I can get myself to sit a little more steady here, get a good focus on that. You're just going to be, I mean, look at that. Look at how crisp. I mean, so if the boiling didn't hurt that one bit, not one bit. We masked all the cartouches before we started blocking, just so we wouldn't even accidentally hit any. And then we got most of it blocked out straight, and then we went back in and we just lightly blocked around the cartouches, and then with some finer paper we hand sanded just to try and lighten up the wood, because where we blocked we got the wood fairly light, and all around the cartouches was a little bit dark. You can still see it just slightly a little bit dark right around the cartouche, the wood itself, but I think once it's stained, I think that'll be just fine. But boy, everything else is just, and all the cartouches, all of them came out really nice. Now there's one spot we tried plugging it, and we actually tried twice, and it just can't make it look any better than that. We lined the grain up best we can, and there's just only so much we can do. We got more of that black stuff around the hole, and I didn't want to make the hole any bigger, so once it's stained, it won't look so bad. But once again, just look at the crispness of all the letters. We didn't lose anything. You can read that serial number just as plain as day. We got that cartouche there, which is very easily read, especially once some stain gets in there, it'll highlight that. You know, it's a little bit diminished. Let's see if I can get a good shot of that, but not very much. You can still read it very nicely. You'll see once the stain's in there, it's going to be quite nice. And we got another one there, just beautiful. If I can get a good freehand shot of that cartouche, you can just see how good a crisp that is. Just read that as clean as a bell. So the boiling is really the key, because it gets the dings out without having to beat the wood to death, sanding the dings out. This way you raise them, and you're cleaning out the pores of the wood at the same time. So now glue can stick good, and stain goes right in, and just look at that. It's just absolutely beautiful. Boy, when some stain hits this thing, it's going to be just going to explode with color. So another plug we put in there, but when it's wet, it doesn't look bad. It looks kind of bad right now, but when we wet it down with thinners or whatever, it looks decent. I mean, it's a plug. What are we going to do? You can't make it a perfect. You're going to have some issue, but it looks quite nice. All the bands, everything fit perfectly. We kept fitting all the metal to the wood as we were working along. Let me just show you the other side. The other side's got just really nice graining. So that's just gorgeous. Oh, nice. Not a ding to be found, nothing. And I don't think we've got any filler in other than a little bit around one of those plugs that kept giving us trouble. But other than that, now we're coming up to a bit of a stain there in the wood that we don't like. We've tried, you know, it runs right up into the top even, you know, just, I don't like it, but we can't get rid of it. We can't take the wood down any further. And once again, we got a little bit of black staining around the recoil bolt, but just unfortunately, I can't do anything with it. I can't make it go away. We've tried everything. We sanded the wood, you know, a bit to get it nice and straight, to get all the dings and stuff out. So we did take that wood down, but that staining must just be really deep right into the wood. So once it's stained, it won't be nearly as noticeable. Overall, I think we're going to have a real winner here. Once again, you know my policy. As long as the overall situation is improved, then we'll live with a, you know, minor little issue. I mean, it is wood after all. You can't really cheat. You know, you can't put filler in it and primer and odds and ends. So it is what it is. Now here's that Portuguese crest that, you know, even when we started, it wasn't, you know, real good. It's there. You can read it. You can see the 1941. You can see the crest. And once again, once that gets some stain in there, it'll highlight. You can see what I meant earlier about the darkness in the wood where the cartouches were, because we didn't take the wood down as much there. You know, we couldn't destroy the cartouches. So we went in and we hand sanded. You know, we blocked a little bit with some really fine paper, and then we went in and tickled it by hand a little bit. But we just can't take the wood down any further without compromising the cartouche. So if we have to live with a slightly darker, but you know, it's by the time everything's stained, I think it's going to blend in enough that it won't really be noticeable. But butt plate fits good. Everything fits really good. Like I say, we've fit everything to this, and it's a beautiful fit. So that's got some really nice figure, some really nice grain in there. So remember, that was all dented and dinged up on top, and it's gorgeous now. So this is going to be a real beauty. I'm eager to see this one done. It's our first Mauser, so it'll be nice to get this one. Probably get a little more work out of this once I put these videos up. So the handguard, let me get a good focus there. Yeah, so the handguard's beautiful. Once again, the grain, the coloring, it's got nice natural color in it, just that staining. I just don't like that staining, but we've done everything we can. We can't take any more wood down, so the inside's nice and clean. So our serial number again, 15666. So anyway, so that's it for the wood repair. We're going to stain tomorrow, and we'll start tongue oiling, and I'll keep you in the loop as we're moving along on that. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this one looks like. So anyway, we'll keep you tuned up. So working away on this 41 Mauser and graining each piece as we come across it. We're going to start on the floor plate now for the mag. I started just cleaning the edge up a little bit. The edge had a few little gouges and things, so I cleaned that up. But before I went any further, I just wanted you to have a good look at this floor plate. Just get in here and we can let me move the camera down to it. That might work better. So you can see the serial number right there. But what I wanted to point out to you was all the pitting. And if I move this carefully, you can see how the light bounces in and out of the pitting. So you can see that's reasonably pitted. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that up and give it some graining, and you can follow along as I get that cleaned up. We got a few pieces on this gun to grain. I've got a couple done already, but now we'll keep plugging away, and hopefully we can get a bunch more pieces done today. But I just wanted you to see the pitting before I even started on it. So we'll get the pitting out of the way first, and then we'll worry about the graining. Alright, so a few minutes with the file, and you're already able to see that we got this looking a whole lot better. You notice the serial number, the serial number depressed that whole area of metal, and you can see right where the file has not touched the metal, right there where that 15666 was stamped. But that's good. That's less chance of me defacing it. I've still got to get in there. There's a little bit of pitting that I've got to clean up, but you can see already how much better this piece looks. We've gotten a whole lot of the pitting out of it. And there's still some, mind you, but just showing how it's progressing. So I'll get a little bit closer and we'll have another look at it in a couple of minutes. So anyway, we'll get this piece done. So we've taken it now to 100 grit. We've got all the pitting out. The lettering still, the numbers, everything stayed nice and clear. We didn't deface anything. So we've just gone over it now with, I filed it and then I hit it with a block, a hard wooden block with 100 grit. So basically we got all the pitting out and it's nice and straight. The piece is straight. You notice the graining is going to run a different way on that end and a little bit different on that end. So that's the next thing I got to do now is grain it. So I'll go ahead and get that done and we'll see how this looks. But she's coming along pretty good. So we got this piece all done. We got all the pits removed. We got it finished in 100 grit, nice and straight, and then we grained it. So now you can see the graining in it quite nicely. It's a fairly tight grain. I put 60 grit. That's a 60 grit grain. So that duplicates what was on there. I made sure to go in a different direction on each end as they had from the factory. You notice the numbering is still nice and sharp, crisp, but didn't lose anything. So that's it. That's another piece done. We'll put it in the pile and we'll keep plugging away. So we should be able to get all this graining done here in a matter of another few hours. And here's another piece I've been working away on. It's the bayonet lug. So it had a little bit of pitting in it, a little bit of fine pitting. So I went back in and I gave it the graining that it should have. You can see that fairly good. I cleaned it up all around its face, around the front there, around here. That edge was pitted a little bit, and on that face in there, that was pitted a little bit. So I went in and re-ground it, grained it. So the machining marks were very, very noticeable in it, right from the beginning. I went in and I recut that little hollow in there to brighten that back up. That had a little bit of pitting in it. And then, like I say, now you can see fairly well the graining that I put in this piece. So that's going to look just superb. Once that's blued, that'll just be outstanding. So, mind you, that piece is mostly covered by another piece, but I still want it to look good. I cleaned it up on the front here. I made that all look great. So that's one more piece that's done. So we got that piece. We got our bolt shroud. We went in and worked on that. Got some graining going in there. That looks pretty good now. Once again, you know, very aware of that serial number. Doing everything I can to keep that number crisp and clear. Same with all the body lines, all the edges. I want all the edges to be sharp still. I don't want anything defaced. So this was a tricky piece. There's a whole lot of different shapes and angles and pockets and valleys, but I think it came up quite nice. So that piece is done. We got the safety, that's done. So that looks excellent. Got the graining in there, kept everything nice and sharp, so that looks just superb now. That'll look good blued. Once again, you got to keep them edges, them edges nice and sharp. You can see I kept the serial number looking really good. So that's good. That's one more piece out of the way. What else we got? And then of course that floor plate. I just got that floor plate done. Showed that to you. So that came out just really good once again. So that's a few pieces now. We got 4 pieces done, and here's the next piece I'm going to start on. Is the band with the sling slot in it. Now if we look at this carefully, slowly, I move it really slow, you can see the pitting in there that I'm going to have to contend with. The edge is rotted away just a little bit. So it's got pitting, you can see there on that edge. That whole edge is got some fine pitting in it. You can get a good view of that. So I got to go in and clean that up. You can see there, as I rotate, you can see all the pitting. So that's all got to be taken down just a little bit. And we get into here where it's, you know, where they've kind of ground it. They've grounded in here and just kind of blended it right into that. So I'll have the same kind of a little challenge. You got to be careful with that serial number, of course. We don't want to deface that serial number. But you can see a little bit of damage, you know, a few chips along the edge there. That'll have to be detailed. But everywhere you look, there's just a little bit of pitting everywhere on this piece. So I'll go ahead and get that cleaned up. Getting a little, let me get down here a little bit better. We might be able to get better cooperation from Mr. Camera. There, so yeah, so there you can see that pretty plainly, the pitting in there. So, and there's a little bit of graining, so, you know, the first challenge is to get the pitting out. And once I got the pitting beat, then I can go in and take care of the graining. It's not having much cooperation. There we go. Yeah, once I get the pitting beat, then I can go in and do the graining. It's pitted a little bit on the inside, as we can see. Quite a bit, actually. But I really don't want to go in there and mess with that, because if I make this band any bigger, if I remove any material from in there, we're going to have an issue of it not fitting. So I'll have to. It's a possibility even. We might even have to send this in and get them edges TIG welded just a little bit. But I'll have a closer look at this. But I just wanted you to have a rough idea of what this is going to entail. Like I say, it's just pitting everywhere. So we'll see how nice we can make this look. I really don't have to go into that groove very much. The groove looks pretty clean in there. So that wouldn't be real easy to get in there and make that look, you know, 1,000,000%. It could be done, but at the outside, I think if I can get all this pitting on the outside looking good, that groove will look just fine. I can go in and maybe polish that groove. I'm noticing as I'm working on all the pieces for this Mauser, the first Mauser I've ever done, I'm noticing how hard all the parts are. it's very hard steel. So it might be, the Rockwell might be up in the, possibly 50 or a little higher even. So it's almost like working on a Garand. You can't do anything. I mean, it's difficult. You can't use much in the way of hand tools. You got to use almost all power tools. And then one last piece that we have to, well, not last piece, but one more piece that we have to deal with is this band. I've degreased it, and I just want you to have a look at it, and you can see it's pretty much pitted every inch. It's covered with pits. So that's going to have to be cleaned up. It's got graining in it too that I'll have to deal with once the pitting is done, but I just wanted you to see the level of pitting, which is, it's pretty bad. I mean, it's just every inch is just covered in pits. Some are fairly deep, especially along the edge, along the very edge. It's quite deep. And then there's, you know, they've kind of blended it. There's various machining and grinder marks where they blended the graining up into the edge there. I'll have to be careful with my tools and try and duplicate. There's a fair amount of machining marks and tooling marks along this face here, and on that face too. They're quite noticeable. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on this piece and see what we can do. We're having a little difficulty getting a focus again. But we'll get this done, and I'll let you see it in a little bit. So I've been working away on this band, and the first step is to get rid of the pitting. So I go in with a little, it's kind of like a right angle Dremel. It's air powered, and I got various little grinding discs and little backing pads. And so I went over this initially now just to get rid of the pitting. That's all I'm worried about, is just to get rid of the pitting. So, I mean, you got to be careful. You don't want to get too crazy with the grinder. You couldn't file this. This was too hard to file. So I took the grinder, and so you got to maintain that shape. You got to make sure all your edges are sharp. You know, there's still a fair amount of detailing got to be done to this, but at least now my pitting's gone. You see, I stayed away from the serial number. Don't want to touch that any more than we have to. Only when I'm graining. Once I come in with my graining tool, I'll touch that. But other than that, so she looks a little rough right now, but now there's another operation to get rid of all these grinder marks and get it back to a nice smooth piece, pit-free smooth piece, and then we finally go in, third process, and we grain it. So I went around the edge there. You see I've maintained basically the same thickness all the way around. You got to be careful. You know, even when you got some pitting along that edge, you saw how much pitting was on that edge. So you got to take the edge down basically an even amount so that you end up with the same, basically the same wall thickness. You don't want it to get to look thin in one spot. So like I say, it's a little rough right now, but at least the pitting's gone. There's no more pitting. So now I'll go in and smooth it up, and we'll see what she looks like then, and then the last step will be graining it. So that's one more piece in the operation, and just slow and steady progress. Alright, so we're a little further along on this band. I went over it now with another tool, and we removed the you know, all the rough grinder marks that it had in it. So now it's looking, if I can get a good focus on that, you can see it looks very good now. There's no issues. I haven't even got near the serial number yet. We got a good, yeah, there we go. I've purposely, you know, basically stayed away from that serial number until the very last. I don't want to diminish it. But you can see everything else is coming along really good now. We got all the heavy grinder marks out. We got it all smoothed up. So now it's just going to be graining. I'll just go ahead and grain that. I'm happy with everything else. Once again, I'll be careful around the serial number. But this piece is coming right along. So I'll let you look at it in a few minutes once we get her all grained. So there, that's looking a whole lot better. we basically got all the graining done. I actually went back in and even recut that groove in there. That groove, once I really got looking at it close, it had a lot of minor pitting in it. So once I got the outside done, that would have been a little bit too evident. So I went ahead and went back in and recut that groove just a little bit. So anyway, but the rest of it is looking good. Serial number came out beautiful. No defacing of it at all. You can see the graining. I really made sure that we could see all the graining quite nicely in this piece. I might just go in and clean it up a little bit where the sling passes through, just to clean up that edge, the edge of that opening a little bit. And I might, I just want to clean this edge up just a little bit too. I haven't gotten to this outer edge yet, but you see I've maintained the same thickness and everything, so that looks good, looks even. But the graining, this is what I want to really show you, is that graining, how that come out nice. So when you blue this, I mean, that's just going to be gorgeous. I'm really becoming a fan of this. So we'll get that done. That's one more piece basically done. Just got to, you know, fine tune it a little bit along its edges and things, but I just wanted you to see how I'm coming along. So that just really turned out good. So tricky little piece to do, to get all them edges just the way it should be, but in the end, certainly worth the effort. Good looking piece. So one more piece, chalk off the list. We'll keep working away, and I'll keep you posted as I'm moving along. Alright, so it's time now to start on this piece. Now this piece has got its own little tricky little areas, little complications. The first thing I noticed right off the bat is that all the edges, every edge, like for example here, and get a good focus, this edge here all the way around is beveled. You know, we got like a 45-degree bevel on all that, all the way around. And on all this edging too, in here, you can see all that, how they beveled that at about a 45 or whatever they've done. So that's the first thing I got to be aware of, and make sure that I got to go back in, because you can see it's pitted and it's got issues. So I'm going to have to go back in and talk to that bevel, but I got to make sure that I maintain that same size of bevel. You know, you can see they've done a pretty respectable job of keeping that even. I mean, you can see little grinder marks and tooling marks in there, so that was all done by hand. You know, they had a little grinder going, and some guy was moving this thing around in there by hand. But you know, he did 100 of them a day or whatever, so he was getting pretty good at it. So this is my first one, so I've got to be a little bit careful. So that's our first issue, is that that edging, how that's all beveled. So that's the first thing I really got to be prepared for, but that's not a big deal. And then the graining. I've studied this piece carefully, and it might be a little hard to see in these pictures, but the graining, like right in here, for example, runs just in this little hollow. It runs this way. You know, in all these hollows right here, here and here, and then also once again here and here, it runs, you know, in that direction. But then the rest of it, the whole other rest of the band, everything runs this way, here, and all the way around here. It all runs this way. And here runs up and down, all in here. So that's something I just got to be careful of and maintain. You can kind of see the graining if I really go slow and hold it steady. You can see that graining in there. Of course, there's that serial number again, so I got to be careful. You know, and there's some pitting. You can see the pitting right above that 5 there, and right to the left of the 5 as well. So, you know, anytime you got to remove metal, you know, I'm not a magician. If I got to remove metal because of pitting, well, everything else gets removed as well. I'll be as gentle and careful as I can to preserve that 5, but it's probably going to be a tiny bit diminished. But we'll see what we can do. But there you can see a little bit better what I was talking about in that groove. You can see the, you know, the machining marks running that way in there. So I'll make sure that when I'm done, it'll be exact same way. So it's, you know, it's a little bit complicated and a little bit tricky, but it's in the end, it's quite rewarding when it's all done. You can see some fairly bad pitting right there. So I'll have to go in and clean that up a little bit, all in there. I can feel it with my pointer, it's that deep. You know, there's quite a few spots actually on this piece that are, you know, fairly eaten away, fairly pitted. Another pretty good bit of pitting right there. So it's not a real, you know, simple one. And the inside edge, you can see the inside edge how eaten away that is, but it's never going to be subjected to wet wood again. You won't see that inside, you know, when it's all done. So, but it's a good thing it did get restored at this point. Once again, you know, they argue about don't restore them, but this would have just kept eating away and eating away. So it's now we can stop it dead in its tracks and put a fresh coat of black oxide on or whatever, and it'll preserve it now for generations to come. So restoration is not always so bad. One thing I wanted to make a comment too is some of these Mauser parts are, well, they're almost fileable. I mean, I have started filing some of them, but in the end I've had to use grinders and stones because all these parts are just hardened a little bit too hard for a file. I mean, I've been using some files, like I say, on a few pieces, but it's wearing them files out like crazy. So I'm doing most of the repairs now with you know, little power tools like Dremels and stuff, and it's turned out really good. Just got to be a little bit careful when you remove material, you know, a little bit quicker like that. But the file just won't cut it, literally. So anyway, you can see that just a little bit of pitting on all this. So this is going to be an interesting piece. I'm looking forward to seeing this one done. So anyway, I will get started on that, and I'll keep you posted as I'm working along. Well, we're moving right along on this band now, and the first thing I did was go along and clean up all the edges. So I went along that front edge and cleaned that up, got rid of all the fine pitting that was in there, both front and back edge. Then I went in and I redid all those 45s I talked about. So you can see, if I can get up close, you can see, you know, there's a little bit of machining marks in there, just like they had, which is what I was trying to duplicate. But basically that's it. I've kept that 45 all the way around the edge. Just got to do it a stage at a time. So now I'm going to tackle all the main part, you know, all the flat, vast areas. Now I've got all the detailing done on all my edges. I'm probably going to go in and do all my graining here first that runs this way. Then I'll go and do my outside. I may do a little bit of grinding right now though, just to get rid of some pits. There's still, you know, quite a bit of pitting in a few places here. Once again though, got to be careful, you know, around that serial number. But you can see the pitting quite plainly right above that 5, so we just got to be careful, but we'll get back to you shortly. Alright, so now I've got all the pitting out of it. I went over the outside, the flats more or less, with a small tiny disc grinder with a 100 grit disc on it, just basically on a Dremel. I've got a little foot operated hand tool. So I use that for, you know, a lot of my little, especially when it's hardened like this, when I can't use a file. So I got in there, got all the pitting out. I mean, there's just a, you know, I'm trying to be as careful as I can around that serial number. But you remember how bad that pitting was. I don't know if I can get it to get a good view of this. Let me put this down, and we might be able to get a closer view of this. There. So, you know, it was pretty pitted in here, so I worked on it a bit, but you know, I'm diminishing, as I knew I would, diminishing these letters a little bit, so I'm not going to go any further. I've got it out. I mean, there's one tiny, might be a little tiny pit there, but I'm hoping it'll come out in the graining. Other than that, I'm happy with everything. So, just, it figures, the worst pitting's got to be right by the serial number, so, but anyway, we got to just work our way around it. So we'll go ahead and get that, I'll get all these grinder marks out of here, and then we'll see what she looks like, and then I'll go ahead and grain it. So we should be able to get this, thing done here in the next hour or so. So now I've got all the scratches or grinder marks out of it. I went over it and sanded it a little bit with my little dual action sander. Got all the grinder marks out, so now we just got a nice smooth surface that I can work on graining. So and then I'll get back in, I'll have to go back in later and just detail that 45-degree edge again, but that's minor detail. So I'm going to try and get these horizontal graining marks in these two little, well, these four little radiuses. We'll get that in there first, and then I'll worry about the main outside graining. But this is looking good now. There's really no pitting at all anymore. That one little spot by the 5, but that even diminished now with the sanding, so we might not have to worry about that spot at all. So I'll go ahead and get working on this, and we'll see what it looks like in a couple of minutes. And there we go, that piece is now done too. So I'm real happy with how that all turned out. The serial number is still very, very nice. Hardly diminished it at all. The graining is just gorgeous. See all that, that's beautiful. And I maintained that little 45-degree bevel all the way around all the inside and outside edges, so they look, and they're all ground. They got that nice ground look to them, so they're just like original, just like when I started on it. So I'm real happy with that. This thing's going to look super when it's blued. So that grain is exactly the way it was. You can see in here I've got the grain running this way in here, and then the rest of it goes up and down. So the same in these hollows over here. I've got the machining marks or graining marks going this way, left to right, just in those hollows, just in that inside radius. But other than that, that's good. So that grain just is going to jump right out. So that's it. That's that piece done. One more piece down the road. So we don't have too much more to do. I cleaned those edges up a little bit, so about the best I can do. We got a little pit right here, but that may be hidden by whatever this butts up against. If this fits up against something, we'll never see that edge. So, but that looks good. I'm happy with that. So we'll get that that piece put away, and we'll get started on something else. All right, down to our last piece or part for this 41 Portuguese Mauser, and that's the barreled receiver. And once again, as most of the other parts, there's a little bit of, I want to show you the obvious stuff right off the bat. You can see the pitting there in the barrel. As I rotate that slowly, you can see those spots of surface rust. They're not horrible, but they're in there. Anything under the wood that's not going to be visible, obviously I'm not going to worry about it. The front sight base looks pretty good. You can see it's got some graining in it, so I'll be careful to duplicate that graining. A couple of minor dings there. You notice there's really no graining in the barrel. I mean, there might be some minor, by the time I'm done with some emery cloth, there might be some graining running with the barrel this way. Whereas the graining on this piece runs this way, but that's okay. We can duplicate all that. It adds to the that nice look. I like that contrast. So we've got to deal with that there, that pitting, and you can see that's not really all that bad. Just isolated just up at the front there. The rest of the barrel is quite nice, and like I say, it's covered anyway. Now if we get to the receiver, now we've got a couple minor issues on the receiver. I had some weld put right there. You can see those couple spots of weld right there. So I'll level those down. Once again, you can see all the graining and machining marks in that metal. So I'll be careful to duplicate all that. Really the whole thing, you can see if I move it slowly, you can see everything has a bit of graining to it. So we'll take care of all that. But it's really not that bad, for pitting, other than a couple of isolated, like I said, and those were kind of bad, so we had weld put in there. That's more of that beautiful, super detailed laser welding. So I'll level that down. Now I'm not going to get this receiver annealed and heat treated. I don't want to separate it from the barrel, and I don't like getting barrels heat treated. So we're going to leave this unit intact as it is, and then I can I'll metal finish that and send it in, get it blued, and the customer said if there's a slight difference where the new metal is, he'll live with it. So he just didn't want to get it annealed and heat treated, and I concur 100%. But other than that, she's looking pretty good. I'll get going on this. All the other parts are done. We should have this thing blued here within the next couple of days. So I'll get this all wrapped up, and I'll let you know how it looks in a little while. I just had to see what it looked like. You know, I wanted to trial fit everything too, but I wanted to see what it would look like with all that nice grained metal on there. So you can just see how good that looks. You can see how nice that stock turned out. You remember what that stock used to look like. So that's just excellent now. Stock came out beautiful. But it's the graining that I'm really, and I'll get down a little closer here in a minute. I just want to give a overall view of it. Once we blue her, we'll never see this pretty, you know, metal finished look again. Well, everything has graining. I mean, just incredible how much stuff is grained on this thing. You know, the barrel band, or the front sight band, you know, the graining runs a different way than the barrel. I haven't put the sight hood on because it's such a bitch to get on. I don't want to scratch anything. I'll save it to the very end after it's blued. But you can see the graining in the barrel. The barrel was kind of pitted, so we cleaned that up a bit. And now we're getting into the bayonet lug and that front band. You can plainly see all the graining that's gone, you know, that I put into that. And I duplicated exactly, you see the little 45-degree bevels around all the edges of that piece there, and that's 100% the way it was. And then there's the band spring. There's your sling swivel, and once again you can see I showed you, I saved that serial number and everything. But just the graining is so remarkable. I just love it. You know, I've been doing 1911s, and I've been liking the graining on them quite a bit, but this Mauser's got them beat big time. There's so much graining on this thing. It's certainly kept me busy. Let's see if I can get a little bit closer shot. You can appreciate, and block some of the light maybe or something. You can appreciate the graining even on that sight base and everything. You can see it as I move past. Receiver, I was showing you the receiver a little bit earlier. I'll flip it up in a minute so we can have a better look at it, but I just wanted you to see the graining once again that had to be done. Like I say, we won't see this like this, you know, ever again. Once it's blued, we won't be able to appreciate this. Even those stock discs, I cleaned them up and polished them a bit. And then the butt plate came out just beautiful. Butt plate was really, really nice. I mean, it wasn't so nice when we started, and you remember. It's certainly nice now. It really came out good, and I was able to save pretty much all the cartouches. There we go. You can see all the cartouches. You can see the graining in there now. The head of that screw was polished. You can see that nice graining now. And all the symbols, I saved all the symbols. They're a tiny bit weakened, but not bad. They weren't that strong to begin with, so. But that graining is what I was after, so that looks really good. And on the side, make sure the graining's running in the right direction. Let me flip this up a little bit. See the detail. Graining runs in two directions there. It runs up and down. That screw head's been done too. This graining runs up and down there, but on the very edge it runs, you know, all the way around the butt plate. We did the disc on that side. That's been done, polished. Now you get a chance to see the top of the receiver. Like I say, a lot of work went into graining all this. So if I turn it a little bit, you can see the reflection. There's a few odd little stray scratches that I'll have to detail just before it goes in for bluing. Not much, just a couple little things. We got that piece there looking good. I'll flip it over in a minute. I just want to show you all the details here. Graining on the receiver again. And you know, I saved the markings beautifully. Nothing was compromised. Now this had a couple drops of weld put on it because the pitting was really deep in a couple spots, but I can't quite remember or show you exactly where the welds are. They're metal finished. They blended right in. We can't even tell now. The rear sight, I haven't fully assembled it yet, but I just wanted you to see. You can see the graining on the adjuster there on the back. I grained the whole leaf. Let me see the top of that band again. Look at in there. That looks really nice. I just love how that looks. It's going to look stunning in bluing. First Mauser I've done, so I wanted to make bloody sure that it was up to everybody's expectations. There we go. Now I can show you. Once again, you can see the graining even on the sight base. So I was really careful to run everything exactly in the right direction. Those are all our Waffen amps. So nothing was, let me get a little closer shot here. Nothing was compromised at all. Crisp and sharp as could be. You can see the graining in there. Now I had some welding done here on this side, but where was it? It was here. Yeah, I had some welding done here on this side, but I can't honestly say where it was at anymore. Serial number absolutely was preserved beautifully, so was that Waffen amp, no problem. Whatever that symbol is up there, that's been kept perfect. We got our Mauser work, Oberndorf. Nothing was, you can see how crisp and sharp that all still is, so nothing was lost there. So, and we got all our slide stop and everything. A little bit of dust on there. Oh, sorry. A little bit of dust on there, but you get the idea. Once again, I just want to show you the graining. You know, the graining is an important part. If you're going to restore one of these, the graining is such an important piece of the puzzle to restore it properly. So if you don't get that graining just right, and you can see it's just the way they did it. So I'm real happy with that. You know, I haven't bothered to install the trigger or anything yet. I'm just mocking this up real quick. I did the head of that stock bolt, so it's got some graining in it. And finally, from the bottom, you can see just how nice. And once again, you know, all the way around the sight base is done properly. The barrel's done in the other direction, which it should be. We got all those bands there and bayonet lug. You can see just how nice that really looks good. And then that band, of course, looks so good against that walnut. And our trigger guard, once again, we saved. They're a little bit weakened. They're not 100% mint, the serial number there. That last 6 is a little weak, but I had an awful lot of corrosion to deal with on that piece, so it's about the best I could do without losing any more of the serial number. Sometimes you got to draw the line. Of course, that one looks great. The graining on that floor plate. And of course, there's our trigger guard. That came out beautiful. Now the trigger guard, it too has a bevel, a 45-degree bevel around its edge. You can, if you look carefully, you can see that I put that bevel back in there. I maintained just what they had done. So it looks really, really good. It's exactly how it should be. So overall, that's it. She looks good. I'll show it to you again when it's blued. Get a little focus here. Show it again when it's blued, and we'll see if all our efforts were worth it. We have our beautiful 41 Mauser all blued. So she's completely assembled. Everything's back together again, and I'm just thrilled. It came out just better than I thought it would. My first Mauser, and luckily I had some experience now with graining of those 1911s, because boy, this one really really put me to the test. Every piece on this thing is grained. That's that wood that we redid. The customer supplied a really nice matching 41 dated sling. There's that sight base. All our Waffen amps are beautiful. We really lucked out. We had some welding done. I don't remember exactly where, but it was somewhere on that ring, and it just came out stunning. I mean, just there's no discoloration, there's nothing. You can't even tell where it was welded. So that's, we really lucked out. You can see the crisp Portuguese crest on there, 1941. You see that date just quite plainly. So nothing was damaged. We got all our matching numbers. We saved all the numbers. Nothing got diminished. You see just how nice that bluing is, how nice and rich black. Of course, that graining just really is amplified. That spring there, 3 things on this gun made of spring steel all came back in that kind of a purpley reddish color. We got the spring there for the bolt stop. Then we had the extractor. You can see the edge of it, how it's kind of, you can see the, as I rotate, you can see that coppery color, that red color on the extractor. You can see it quite evident there. And then the internal magazine spring, that's really a nice maroon color as well. And that's completely proper. Some steels, depending on their composition, when you blue them, especially spring steels, they get that reddish tinge to them. So there's that butt plate, and that came out just beautiful. Now, since I've completed this, I've had a guy tell me that the butt plate on the Portuguese contract guns should be bare and not grained. But I've discussed it with a customer, and for the time being, we're going to leave it blued. We can always strip the finish off it if in fact that turns out to be correct. Supposedly the stock discs there are going to be bare as well. So that's no big deal. If that's what it needs to be, we can do that. But right now the customer's happy with it, how it looks, and he said to leave it alone, so that's what we're going to do. We preserved that crest quite nicely, 1941. So I'm happy. It's like I say, for the first Mauser, I was so aware of the metal finish, the requirement, you know, the scrutiny I was going to be under to do the metal finishing. In fact, the customer was, you know, a little, maybe not reluctant, but he was very, very, very concerned when he sent me this gun that the graining would be done properly. So I assured him that not a problem, your money's safe, we won't screw you, we'll give you everything you want. And there you go. So that's just beautiful. You can see that more waffle amps, they were all preserved beautifully. All the screw heads were done, they're all nice and clean and polished looking. That trigger guard, I pointed that out to you before when it was in bare metal, that it has a 45-degree bevel around both the inner edge and the outer edge, and I've maintained that perfectly. So even the inside of the, might be hard to see, but even the inside of the trigger guard has got graining. So I didn't miss anything on this one. You can see on there all the graining and all the different metals. So this one was really interesting. Kept me super busy. So I'm happy with that. The stock bolt, I gave that a little bit of graining to just show it, you know, nice, freshen it up, make it look nice. And of course that, you know, the bands up here, I saved the serial number just perfectly. But just look at that graining, especially when it interacts with that other piece. Because the other piece now underneath it, the look at a little oil light. It's a little, oh, it's just the way the light's hitting it. There's no issue there. But when you rotate it, it looks a little funny. But as I was saying, the graining runs, you know, the other way in this piece, and then it runs the other way in these two hollows right here. The graining runs horizontally with the gun. You can see that plainly. And I really studied that carefully before I started. I didn't want to make any mistakes on this one. And of course we've already discussed that band. So I'm just going to turn this over and we'll have a quick view of the other side now. Because it's very nice. There's the wood again. We got all the waffle amps just perfectly preserved, as you can see. That nice stock disc. I've just got to blacken up, clean up that we had to drive the disc and the tube out of there to separate it, and then we just need to go back in and cold blue that tube a little bit, clean it up. You got to repeen it to reattach it, and we marked the bluing a little bit, so I'll touch that up. There's that sling he bought, just a beautiful, beautiful sling. But look at that stock. You remember that stock was all beat to death, so it's really nice now. So everything looks just beautiful. That bolt handle had pitting in it. Well, now that's exactly the way it should be. So that's it. I mean, I'm just really, really happy for my first Mauser. So I hope you Mauser collectors are paying attention. Maybe there's that reinforcing nut and bolt. So maybe we have somebody that can do some of this Mauser metalwork for you and make it look, you know, fairly proper, original. I made sure that those little adjuster pads there had graining. I don't know if you can see that in the yeah, you can see that as I move it. A little bit of graining on there. I grained the leaf all around the sight base. We had a bit of corrosion in the hollow right there of that sight base, so I was able to go in and remove all the corrosion and then put the graining back in. So that looks good. And every single Waffen amp, there's none that have been diminished. Even I wanted to even show you that little one right there on the end of that bolt stop. Even that is beautiful. So nothing at all was lost or diminished in this job. I took my time. There's that beautiful band again. All that other stuff. So I'm happy. We're going to ship this thing out on Tuesday. Monday's a holiday here. It's Labor Day weekend. So we'll get this done and shipped out beginning of the week, but I get to enjoy it for the weekend. Show it off if anybody comes by. But overall, I mean, it was a bit challenging, a lot more graining than I originally predicted, but very, very happy with the end result. It just took a little more time than I planned, but that's all right. I don't care if it takes a little extra as long as the end result is beautiful, and this certainly is. So there's my first Mauser. I'm hoping it's not my last Mauser, but if you guys see something that you like here, go ahead and let me know, and I'm more than happy to take on another one. So that's it for this one, and I'll talk to you later.